Hello and welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sam and today's video I'm going to be giving you some Kindle Unlimited book recommendations. I have 10 books to share with you. Some of these you've probably heard of before, but I'm here to give you that little nudge to read them if you have not read them already. And I do think I have maybe like one or two hidden gems in here. So yeah, we're just gonna get started. The first book that I want to start out with is a historical fiction. And okay, if you are a romance reader and you want to get into historical fiction, Miss Amy Harmon is where you do it. Her books are also, if you have Audible, you can read and listen to her books, which is incredible. Now, this is from Sand and Ash. This is a World War II historical fiction set, I believe, in 1943 in German-occupied Italy. And we are following Eva and Angelo. Now, Eva and Angelo, their families are very tight. They've grown up together and they've been just really good friends throughout their lives. And now that they are both adults, their lives have sort of drifted apart, but also because of the war and the fact that Eva is a Jewish girl and Angelo he's felt really called to be a priest. He is currently trying to do his studying. I don't exactly know what all of that entails, but he's not a full-on priest yet, but he is very, very close to becoming a priest. And he works in the Catholic Church and he's a very big part of the church. And so it's forbidden in like two different ways, their romance, because she is Jewish and he is a Catholic and he's a priest. So two pretty big reasons why in this time they could not be together, but they both find themselves doing everything that they can to help these Jewish people in Italy, in their little town, try to be safe and escape. And they're just, like I said, doing everything that they can to help out their community. And Angelo is doing everything that he can to protect Eva. And just the gradual buildup of their romance and the relationship in here, she does it so well. And she really paints a picture of what it is like to live in a war-torn country. And the stakes in here are so high. And then just seeing them be able to work through everything that they have stacked against them, like it's not an easy task for either one of them. Their life is definitely hard, but this does have an HEA. They come out on top and it is just an absolutely beautiful story. So if you have not read Amy Harmon, please check her out, okay? Don't be too intimidated by historical fiction because she does it so well and she blends in romances in her historical fictions. It's just beautiful, okay? Just absolutely beautiful. And then the next book that I am going to recommend to you, I did review this in a like new releases video. I think, was it last month? I don't remember, but that is Indiscretion by Keeland. You all know I just love Keeland so much. This is an enemies to lovers turned workplace romance. We're following Naomi and Dawson. Now these two meet in a pretty hilarious way. They are both attending a wedding and there's a mix-up in the cabins and they end up having to stay in the same cabin together for a little bit. Naomi thinks he's trying to attack her, so she attacks him. It's very funny, very, very funny, meet cute, okay? And then, so because of that, they don't really get off to the right foot, but when they both go back to New York City, Naomi she's a former attorney, but she has since been disbarred. And Dawson is a very successful attorney in New York and he is looking for a paralegal. So he ends up hiring Naomi to be his paralegal. And these two, they're just spending so much time together and they really learn so much about each other. And they truly, like, they're opposites in every way. Naomi is just very loud and out there and Dawson is like just to the point, you know, he's just very regimented. And seeing these two fall in love, it's so cute. She does these very readable romances and very cute romances, but they also have a very emotional tone to them. It's not just super light and fluffy. They always have like deeper things going on with these characters. You just have to peel back those layers, and I love Keeland so much. And then I guess since we're on the topic of romances, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about these two. They are part of the same series by the same author, so I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but you definitely need to read these. These are my newest obsessions. I read them basically back to back, okay? So Sunday Morning by Jewel E. Ann. This book is following Sarah and Isaac. Now, Sarah is the oldest daughter and she is a preacher's daughter. So she has had some very high standards set, some very high expectations set on her because of her family. Sarah is a senior in high school and she is been with this boy. I don't even remember his name. She's been with her boyfriend for quite a while, and everyone thinks they're going to go off to college and then they're going to get married and just have this perfect family. But Sarah finds herself wanting more. And that becomes even more apparent when her boyfriend's older brother comes back into town. He has been serving in the army and now he's back and he's working on the farm that his family owns. And he starts showing her all the things that she wants in life. He shows her it is okay to be yourself. It's okay to break out of the mold that everyone thinks you should be. And he just, he opens up the whole entire world for her and so many possibilities, and just brings some excitement and fun into her life. This one does have some heavier tones to it. There is loss of a loved one in here. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because I don't want it to be a spoiler, because it is a spoiler. So definitely kind of check your triggers, just be wary of that. But oh my God, I loved this book and I loved their romance so freaking much. It made me cry. Please read that book. And then we're going to go with The Apple Tree, which is book 2. And this is following Sarah's younger sister, and she's the middle sister. This is Eve, sorry. Eve could not be more opposite of Sarah. She is the rebellious child, and that becomes a problem when they get a new neighbor. He is a high school teacher and he's a football coach, and he's also a single dad. His name is Kyle. And Eve, she goes over and she volunteers to watch his son for him because he is new to town and he doesn't really know a whole lot of people. So she decides, yeah, I'm going to help you out. And the little boy is just so taken with Eve. And she's really good with kids. So it's really no problem. It's a no-brainer for her to go and help. But she kind of inserts herself into their lives, and she just really eases a lot of the burden from Kyle from being a single dad. But then they slowly are starting to realize that they have a lot in common, and then that turns into a very heavy attraction, and they do give in, and then it's like, oh, we can't do this. This is totally going to mess up our lives, or at least Kyle's life. And Eve, she definitely has some things going on. She's keeping a very heavy secret, a very heavy family secret. And so that has her turning to alcohol. So there is some trigger warnings in here for alcoholism. She does, is that a spoiler? Yeah, I'm not going to give that away. But I did want to point that out in case any of you are sensitive to that. So she goes through a lot in here, and they go through a lot in order to be together, but they end up on top, and it is just stunning. Both of these books are they're so beautiful. Please read them if you have not already. I also have another Keeland book, but this one is a thriller, and that is The Unraveling. Wow, this one was so much fun and so freaking messy. I flew through this book. So we are following Meredith, who is a psychologist or psychiatrist, one of the two. And Meredith is not, her life has kind of been flipped upside down. She 2 years ago lost her husband in a very tragic accident, and she's left with a lot of guilt from that accident. There was a lot of things going on and leading up to his accident that she's just carrying with her. And one day she is out and about and she sees a man who is connected to her past. And she becomes a little obsessed and she starts following him around. And she herself is also seeing a psychologist for many issues, but she brings up that she's been following this man and he's like, oh, what are you doing? You need to stop. So she does stop, okay? But then this man shows up in her practice and is now her newest patient. She decides she's going to keep him on. She is very intrigued about why he is there, what is going on with him. And yeah, things go from there. It, like I said, very, very messy. It's very twisty and just so readable. You will want to binge this book. I'm telling you, it was so much fun. Okay, next up I have What I Should Have Said by Max Monroe. This is a small town enemies to lovers that also turns workplace romance. We are following Naomi and Bennett. Yes, that's his name. So Naomi, you meet her when she is fleeing from her wedding day. She has found out some pretty atrocious things about her fiance and her mother. And she's like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with you all. And she goes to the one place where, really the only place that she can go to run away and kind of just get away from everything. And that is to this small town of Redbridge. And she wants to go and stay with her sister. And there she meets Bennett. Bennett actually picks her up on the side of the road because she's trying to hitchhike to her sister's house. And they're arguing, they're bickering from the start. And he ends up kicking her out of the truck. And he's like, nope, you can find your own way. And so at first when you meet Bennett, he's an asshole. He is a jerk to her and you don't really know why, but then you start getting his POV and you see that he's just got a lot going on. He is a single father and his daughter she does not have very long to live. She has a very rare condition. I forget exactly what it's called, but basically it's where her bones are just so brittle that any like little touch could just break them. And so he's just got a lot on his shoulders. He's got a lot to deal with. And then Naomi comes in and she's just a firecracker and just bulldozes into his life. And he's like, what the heck do I do? And then when his daughter meets Naomi, she just falls in love with him. And he's like, you know what, let's give this a shot. And so these two, their romance was just so cute. And some of the things that Naomi gets herself into is quite hilarious. So while this book does have some like sadder moments and there is loss of a child in here, so it is very sad, but Naomi brings a light and a hopefulness to the story. So yeah, this one was really good. It was emotional and another one that you will just fly through. We're going to pretend that I didn't call her Naomi. Her name is Nora. This is why I should look at my notes and not just go off of what's in my head. I will put through the whole thing, her name is Nora. But yeah, just, y'all, I'm a mess. Okay, let's see. Next up, we're going to go with another thriller, and that is going to be Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I actually just finished this book a few days ago, and man, this is also my first ever book by S.A. Cosby, and I definitely want to read more. So we are following two men, one white, one black, and they are trying to solve the mystery of their son's murder. Who murdered them? Their sons were married. And so there's a lot of talk in here on racism and the difference between being black and white and how your lives are different just because of the color of your skin, and also discrimination against the LGBTQ community. So a lot going on in here, and it's set in a really just brutal scene, and these men, they're out for vengeance. They want to find out who did this and they want revenge. It's very twisty. It's just very action-packed. It definitely reads like an action movie. I could definitely see this being made into a movie, and I think a lot of people, when they talk about his books, they say that, and that's a compliment because they're good. Well, this one is good. So yeah, if you have not read anything by S.A. Cosby, try this one out because I did really enjoy it. It's a little darker, okay? There's a lot in here, so just be aware of that. Okay, and then we're gonna talk about the newest book on this list. Wildside by Elsie Silver. This is book 3 in the Rose Hill series. We are following Tabby and Reese. This is an enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience romance. So Tabby has recently lost her sister and she's grieving her sister very badly. She also feels a lot of guilt because her sister was an addict and she feels like maybe if I had been more present, maybe if I had tried to help her more, she would still be here. And now her sister left behind a very young son. And when Tabby goes over to her apartment, her sister's apartment, to sort of clear it out, she meets her landlord, who is Reese. And Tabby at the beginning puts a lot of blame on Reese because of things that her sister had told her. And so these two, again, they don't get off on the right foot. But there's a twist thrown in because her sister, Tabby's sister, in her will actually left custody of her son to Reese. And Tabby she's not going to let that happen. She's like, you're not taking my nephew from me. We love him. My parents love him. We want him to be around family. And Reese, his job keeps him away a lot. He is a professional wrestler. Think like WWE wrestler. But he keeps that very hush-hush. He doesn't really want anyone to know. And Reese definitely developed a really strong connection with, I forget what the little boy's name is. I should have wrote that down, but because he was raised in the foster system, he really wanted to help out this little boy and do everything that he could for him to not end up in the system and not be raised by a family that didn't want him or love him. And so he knows that the best thing for the little boy is for him and Tabby to work together and try to figure something out. And he also knows that because of his job, he doesn't want to leave the little boy with like a nanny, someone who doesn't even know him. So they end up getting married so Tabby can have a say in the little boy's life and like medical care, things like that. And that is where the story takes off. I really enjoyed this. There definitely were some things that I didn't totally love in the book that I think you really had to kind of like overlook. But overall, I did have such a good time with this. I think Reese and Tabby fit so well together. And yeah, I had fun. It's probably my second favorite in the series now. My favorite is still Wild Eyes. I love that book. So again, if you haven't read Wild Eyes, read it. But if you're on the fence about Wildside, I say give it a shot because I did enjoy it. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about The 16th Need by Calia Reed, or Red. I never know how you say her last name. Now, this book I read quite a bit ago, and she is just an author that I don't hear people talk about a lot anyway, so definitely check her out. Her writing is so freaking good. Also, I don't know if I can reach it. Can I reach it up here? The Surviving Time series. This is Surviving Trace. You've heard me talk about this before, or at least I think I've talked about this before. Yeah. She's the same author and she's just so freaking good. I love her. She needs so much more hype. So this is a new adult, small town, second chance romance. We are following Sable. Now, Sable has 2 younger sisters and not their father. I don't remember the father ever being mentioned in this, so I don't remember where he's at, but their mother is a drug addict. And so a lot of the responsibility of paying the bills and taking care of her sisters falls on Sable. And Sable ends up getting a babysitting job for a guy that she kind of had a thing with one summer. And so this is told in past and present. And the guy, his name is Sam or Samson, and he is Mr. Popular. He's a jock. He comes from a very loving and wealthy family and just everything opposite of what Sable is. And in the past chapters, you're getting kind of what happened in the past and what led them to no longer being together and no longer talking in the present. And in present day, you have Sable, who is babysitting for his little sister. And so when he comes back into town from college, she has to face him every day, and she's trying to ignore him. She's got so much going on that he's really kind of the last thing on her mind. So this one is more emotional, and it's a beautiful story about like overcoming the life that you were given, the hand that you are dealt, and wanting to really make something of yourself. It's just, yeah, I can't say enough good things about Calia and her writing. So if you have not read anything by this author, check her out, okay? I know she has another, I want to say like a dark romance duet, possibly. I don't know. She really writes really good, like slow burn, angsty romances. So again, check her out. And the last book that I am going to recommend to you in this video is Homefront by Kristin Hannah. This is the latest book that I have read by her. I'm trying to slowly make my way through her backlist, which is absolutely massive. This one takes place in early 2000s. Our heroine is Jolene, and she is a married mother of two, and she is also an Army veteran, but she is now in the National Guard, in the reserves. She is a helicopter pilot, and she is badass. She came from nothing and made something of herself. And this does follow the war in Iraq. So post 9/11, she gets deployed to Iraq, and it follows her marriage and her kids, and really the kind of how her being a soldier and her being off to war really affects every person in her life. It affects her marriage, it affects the relationships with her children, and you're also seeing the father while he is home trying to take care of his two daughters, and really seeing, wow, my wife does a lot, and how he has taken it for granted. Like any other Kristin Hannah story, you're gonna cry. This is so sad, but so beautiful and hopeful. Yeah, I love her books. I have not had a miss yet. And yeah, I definitely recommend this one if you have not already read it. So that is all for this Kindle Unlimited book recommendations video. If you've made it to this point and you'd like to let me know, leave me an alien in the comments down below. I don't know why, it's just the first thing that popped in my head. Also, let me know your favorite book on Kindle Unlimited. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.